Welcome to the AI Shift, a show looking at the seismic changes happening in healthcare with artificial intelligence at the epicenter. I'm your host, Tom Foley. Join me and my guests as we look at key cultural and policy shifts impacting how providers, payers, and patients connect, as well as how care is being reimagined both for today and for the future. And now, the AI Shift. Welcome. You're listening to the AI Shift, and I'm your host, Tom Foley, and we have a very special guest. I'm really excited to have Justin Barnes. Justin, welcome to the program.
Thank you, my friend. Great to be here. We've been friends for a long time. I'm very respectful of the work that you do. Very excited about this show. When you reached out, I made sure it's a priority. It's obviously a very busy time with Vive and HIMSS and all this stuff coming up, but very excited for the show today and looking forward to it, my friend.
Awesome, Justin. So you are for those that don't know, you're the CEO of Growth Performance. You're also a host of another radio show, This Just In radio show. And so tell us just a little bit about what you do and just give the audience an appreciation for your scope and involvement in the health IT arena.
Sure. So, yes, 2014 founded Growth Performance. We are a go-to-market company. Very fortunate to have a lot of great success early on. I've been doing this now 31 years in healthcare and health IT. So after we took the last company public, and then we sold it about 20 months later, decided to take a little bit of time off. Then we started Growth Performance, which is just really helping all the best practices that I learned through 20 years of building a company, and then helping other companies, mainly my friend. At this point, I'm very fortunate. I work mainly with people that I've known for 15, 20, 30 years, to be honest. In the industry, but my customers like AWS is my largest customer, and then AMD, and then a couple other smaller companies that I help bring to market as well. But I'm very fortunate to have a great circle of peers and network out there that I leverage to build my company, but then also build their companies. And so it's been a great time. And then, as you mentioned, we started the radio show at the same time. We had the same producer, Roberta Mullen. She's absolutely amazing. I think she pushed me for about a year to start the radio show, and I didn't have the bandwidth at the time, but she was very smart and diligent, and also gave it the name This Just In, played off my name, stroked my ego. Roberta's brilliant like that. I said, done. So let's do it. And now it's been a tremendous 14 years with the radio show, to be honest. So
yeah, and awesome. And I was honored to be on that program as well many years ago when I was with Lenovo and Lenovo Health, as you helped engaged and helped grow that entity, and recently at a previous HIMSS show. But in the context of AI, the fundamentals is really around trusted quality data, right? To put everything in context. Right. And I'm talking about AI specifically in the delivery of care, as opposed to where AI can be employed in the healthcare market. I'm going to give you the Audacity Award. And the Audacity Award is, you were and are a front runner in transforming the market. And I don't mean to stroke your ego. The point is that care quality, you co-founded.
Yeah.
Commonwealth, you co-founded. Those are those are the impetus that really what led to QN in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Right. But those are the entities that really 15 years ago, you started because you knew not only was it about health IT at the time and meaningful use stage 1 or 2, wherever we were in 2012, but you knew data was really the future of where we had to go. And the audacity is that you co-founded and had a vision and had a strategy about where this market had to go. And now long after, we are now starting to take advantage of those seeds that you planted. So that's the audacity to change. Right. And this is where the market now with AI, this is where the market really needs to have the audacity to change, because we are stuck in a model of how we deliver care. What are your thoughts on just where you see AI today and how it can influence the delivery of care in the future?
Absolutely, and thank you for that, Tom. And yes, absolutely right. There's a great need. There was a great need. Back 20 years ago, we started putting that framework together, not only with the federal government, but also a lot of the private players. A lot of that I'll talk about today in my work is public-private collaborations, because ideally that's where everything gets done, because the government can come up with a policy, but we also have to, the market has to be ready to implement it, and the government needs to know what the market can implement. And there's always a push and pull, but when we bring them together, it really works, and that's what those organizations are about. And the other one I'd put in there was I was also a board member on Sequoia Project
Yes,
at a
yes.
very
Thank
pivotal
you for saying
time.
that. Yes, yes.
And so, Sequoia is front and center of all this type of conversation and the exchanges. And so, it comes back down to trust, to be honest. And so we had to create those infrastructures. We have to create more trust in the healthcare system. We also have to unleash data, but data can only be unleashed if it's trusted. Care providers are only going to share data. It doesn't matter if it's AI or an agent assisted or any type of care provider inside the organization. They need to know if that, first of all, that data needs to be trusted inside the organization, but also if it leaves those four, quote unquote, four walls of the organization or the entity, it needs to be trusted. And they also aren't going to pull information in if it's not trusted. So that's really what TEFCA and these trusted exchanges provide. And a lot of good strategy and growth. And so now you're starting to enable this liquidity of data, the sharing of data, also at a significantly reduced cost. If we did not put these exchanges in place, if we did not put this trust and interoperability standards in place, we couldn't even afford interoperability. But now it is. It's still expensive. However, these costs have come down for exchanges, but then also in interoperability. But now are you leveraging standards? FHIR is probably one of the best standards that we will use for AI. It's the one I would point people to. And so that's really what, even coming off of my last series of shows at HIMSS, and Anish Chopra is a very good friend, always a part of my shows. He is one of the biggest advocates for FHIR. Certainly a mouthpiece for what FHIR can bring to your organization and the importance, but then also working in that public-private collaboration. We were just talking about that on the show last week, is about how important it is to get the stakeholders together, stakeholders being healthcare providers, patients, federal government, all those around the table on a consistent basis to create these policies in our industry and in our country.
So you have AI. Where do you see that contributing to a value-based care model and facilitating or enhancing the fee-for-service model? Where do you see this playing in the delivery of care?
Well, both important aspects. Obviously, we live in a fee-for-service world today, and we've been trying to I've been talking about sustained growth rate and fixing the SGR for providers for literally 20 years, 22 years now. However, we are slowly evolving these care models and these financial reimbursement models and these incentive models. And the only way, so if you look at the new access model that came out by CMS a couple of weeks ago, there's a lot of consternation. A lot of people were hoping it was going to reimburse more on the fee-for-service side, and it really does not. You really need to be in an AI or agentic AI type of a model and using AI to leverage technology. Again, it's not for providing care per se. It's about efficiencies in workflow, patient engagement, things that AI is really built for and proven today to do extremely well. And there's really, and I've done a lot of these talks, there's no way to be successful at scale with care management in these new reimbursement models without deploying some type of AI. And this should not scare anybody, because it's not about just deploying it community-wide or organization-wide. You pick a care model that you can put 10 patients on, 20 patients on, 30 patients on. Look at how you can deploy AI at a very small scale with very minimal disruptions, no risk or very, very limited risk to your organization. Doesn't matter the size. I've seen one doctor's group deploy this extremely well. I've seen no doctor organizations deploy this very well. And I've seen the largest organizations, I work with Mayo Clinic and some of the largest ones in the world, they deploy it exceptionally well. So there's lots of opportunity for everyone, but I highly recommend you take the time to research where AI, and there's a lot of sources, even ChatGPT and these different, even free services will tell you where in your care model AI can help you, and agentic AI specifically can help you. So I think, I know we'll dive into this more, but I think that's a good starting point. It's for everybody. It does make a tangible difference. There's no way to scale in healthcare without it. And the other thing I'll leave you with, you also asked, so that's kind of where value-based care and the future of healthcare is going. Specifically where we are today with most providers is still in a fee-for-service world. It's going to make you more efficient for sure in a fee for service. However, that is not scalable because these models, new reimbursement models, are not, you might get away with it in 2026. You might get away with it in parts of 2027 for sure. But if you really want to accelerate and be as Wayne Gretzky would say, where the puck's going to be, you want to
Yeah.
make sure you're enabling for 2027, 2028, and 2029. And that's where these models are going. And this is where AI and agentic AI specifically will help you.
No, I appreciate you saying that. You used one word, and that's scalability.
Mhm.
I was speaking with a client, a top 15 health system, and they wrote a brief, and the brief said, "We cannot scale," and that's their business problem. And the business problem is, and I've talked about this on my radio show a lot of times. We have less doctors and nurses,
Mhm.
and we have a growing, older, aging, sicker
That's right.
population,
There you go.
right?
There you
So
go.
there's the imbalance. So
Yeah.
AI, it's not meant to be the panacea of fixing the problem,
Right.
but it helps create efficiencies in the system where people don't have to wait 26 days. And this also comes into play in your data model, right?
Yeah.
The
That's right.
data, any data that exists today is historic data.
Mm.
The patient is presenting themselves with a problem.
That's right.
I need to put that problem in context
Context. That's
of
right.
medications, chronic conditions, allergies, all the above. The merger of the two is really where AI starts to fix that business problem of closing the gap between the scalability gap. The question there is, should we let does the government have to regulate this, or should we let the market drive it?
Right. Before I answer that, I want to great question. That's a big answer. And so I want to tackle that. There are some really simple things where AI, and you said this, but even let me give you some real quick examples from health systems and in providers, but looking at where AI can, your patients deserve this too. So even getting quicker answers, they can't wait multiple days for care or 20 or 30 days for care. Some of this can be very simply routed to a nurse, answered very simply. To your point, you said, hey, I need to know all longitudinal information that's important to me. That's where AI will queue that up in seconds, milliseconds, to the provider, and you can now provide better patient care. Your AI is not doing that. Your nurse or your PA or another care provider or your care manager is doing that, but using AI as the engine. So again, and also having trusted information. So that's where it's critically important for any organization of any size. Because I like to talk to everybody, not just what the biggest institutions are doing, but everybody is doing that. Also in the revenue cycle, people are seeing, oh my God, I mean, I'd use a big example, Oshner. I just got a phone with them a couple weeks ago. They saved $40 million deploying AI, 40 million on their revenue cycle last year. That's
Well,
significant.
that
So,
is significant.
and we have more pressure on our healthcare system reimbursement than ever before. To your point, there's less doctors, there's less nurses. We have more patients and more complex patients than ever before. So you have to deploy these types of care models to survive. So, I'm very bullish on those types of things. Reducing no-shows, 15% reductions across the board, no matter what system you're looking at, whether it's a small system, a medium system, or a large enterprise. Everybody needs to reduce no-shows. We need to get the right care to the right patient at the right time. That's what AI can do. Now, specifically, so I like to put that as a foundation. Now, I believe in public-private collaboration. So we can't leave it totally up to the market to move this. We need the carrot and the stick approach. I'm always a fan of that, have been for the past 20, 30 years or so with the federal government. So we need to make sure that from an AI, you're talking about from a reimbursement perspective, CMS need to continue on doing what they're doing. I'm a very big supporter, work with them on a regular basis as well to encourage that and explain why it's really, really important. And they know that. And they're doing a very good job, in my opinion, on these models and looking out to the future of what we need
They
without
are.
blowing up Medicare, which is also, you can't just say, oh, just throw more money at it. There's no more money. You can't just throw money at this. We've got to become more efficient. So that's from that perspective. From an AI, from a governance perspective, we have, so I'm a member of CHI, the working group there, Coalition for Health AI. Very important. That's a public-private collaboration as well, but more on the private side of a lot of large institutions, academic institutions, but then also just provider groups and some feds as well. That's important because they are collecting. They have a great nonpartisan, very open, very transparent process to creating guardrails for AI governments, AI governance, AI deployments, and best practices. So I like what Chai is doing. I'm very proud to work with that. But then also, we do need the federal government investigating this. We have to put some guardrails around this. We can't just let the private sector run off and do whatever they want. And we all have those fears around where AI can play. And there's even, I mean, an article a couple weeks ago, which I happened to come across, just talked about how a researcher and professor had received some bad, basically attacks online from an AI agent who did not like what he was writing about AI. This was not generated by an individual. This is generated by an AI bot who did not like what this professor and researcher was saying about AI. Now they went in and fixed that, but that's a great example of AI just went off on its own and published its own content without any human intervention. So bring up my last point, the human in the loop, critically important. So if you're researching AI and how to deploy AI, the best, a very simple, quick best practice, except looking for the right patients and looking for the right place to start, is you always will have a human in the loop. You got to have that off switch. So you know what? This is not right. This is not past muster. This is not organized with our organizational policies or aligned with our organizational policies. Then we're going to turn this off and modify it and then look at it. It's called human in the loop. Very critical to AI in general and in
So
governance.
let me challenge you a bit on that.
Sure.
I don't necessarily disagree with the
Mhm.
human in the loop. I totally buy
Yep.
into that model. AI is not that mature yet, right?
Yep.
But the ability for AI to address maybe a low acuity
That's right.
encounters, right?
That's right.
Do I need that? You talked earlier about needing the nurse to answer the question, but do you think AI can answer the question in with a probability? Hey, it's 70% probable. It's
That's right.
really that an over the counter thing. Why don't you try CVS first before you come in to see a doctor? What are your thoughts on that?
100%. Yeah, no, we're on the same page. I think it really depends on human in the loop is when the acuity is very high and you can
Yeah.
really look at an organization and is making a declarative statement or a declarative change in strategy or care. That's the human in the loop where AI is at a grand scale. There's certainly lots happening with lower acuity, like to your point, that is not, it's perfectly fine. Like you said, give an example that's non-life threatening, does not provide, giving direct care advice without high probability. There absolutely will be there with some of that. Certainly, if you have a trained AI model that does follow your best practices, does follow your care plans, it knows your care plans, and to be honest, it knows your care plans better than your doctors and your nurses do because there's more information, more research coming out than your doctors and nurses can remember. Not it's it,
Consume,
and
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, so absolutely true. It depends on what you're deploying and what type of strategy. There's no human in the loop needed in a lot of stuff, but when you talk about really global decisions or global care strategies, absolutely have the human in the loop. But to your point, we'll be leveraging AI and AI bots and chatbots at scale with no human in the loop in a very safe manner.
Yeah, I agree. So the idea that we have this collection of data, the AI, and in trying to provide that assistance to the care team, the human, the AI knows you,
Hmm.
knows your gender, knows your age, knows your medications, know your chronic conditions, knows probably more about you to some degree than maybe
Absolutely.
your doctor does, right? So
Absolutely true.
because the data is too broad, and I traverse the health system. I don't just go to one doctor,
That's
right? The
right.
average Medicare patient, 5 chronic conditions, sees 9 different doctors, right?
That's right. That's right.
So the thought here is that where AI can play as well to reduce the burden of staffing is, hey, can I send you a message in the morning? Hey, did you take your meds today?
That's right. That's
Right?
right. Exactly.
It's the accumulative delivery of care model in that I'll finish off that statement. 9 different doctors. The patient spends 15 hours in front of their doctor in a given year in that
Hmm.
model.
Right.
That's CMS data, by the way.
Yep. Yep.
What happens the other 8,745 hours? That's where I'm always consuming my conversations in
Right.
care, or I'll just say wellness, doesn't happen in the office
That's right.
when you're in front of the doctor. It happens when you're at home. So we have to move from this episodic model to this longitudinal model on a day-to-day basis. What are your thoughts on that?
100%. I mean, I literally just got back from a 3.1 mile run. I use AI on a daily basis to keep me efficient with what I do. Certainly professionally, sometimes even personally, but also even my diet. I use these types of models, to take care of myself. All those times I'm not in front of my doctor. Ironically, I have my annual wellness visit tomorrow. Did all my blood work. Everything is perfect, which I'm very fortunate for that. But I also take, to your point, I manage myself very tightly. I still live a very fun life and always have a great time. Enjoy my adult beverages, enjoy my cigars from time to time. But I also take care of myself and I manage myself. And what, to your point, what AI can do not only for me but also with my care team, is remind me, hey, did you take this? Did you do this? Did you this on a daily basis? You don't need a human doing those kind of things. Those are all
That's right.
technical, AI, perfect AI functions. And then also, did you take it? What were your results? And that feeds it back into the system. Let me give you also another big tidbit, because I mean, I know we have about 5 minutes left or so. John Halamka, president of Mayo Clinic Platform, very
Great
good
guy.
friend, and yeah, good friend of the show too. Oh, he's been part of our think tanks a couple times. So
Yes.
he last year, in the last couple, he's used this example a couple times recently, on my show, and said, if you're not using AI as a care provider in 3 to 5 years, that could be seen as malpractice because there's no way that you're keeping up with everything. And he's a recent example, that he came across was where they have ambient listening in a room, but the physician actually had the stethoscope in his ears, and the patient did say something. Was not in the patient ended up seeing the notes afterwards. It was not in the notes. He's like, hey, I mentioned this to you. The doctor said, no, I did not. No, you did not. I did. Well, they went back to the ambient listening notes, and sure enough, the doctor had the stethoscope in the ears and did miss it, but the computer didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we talk, these technologies really do benefit us. Again, they all need to be curated to the care strategy that the organization needs and wants and where they want to go over the next 3, 5, 10 years. But it absolutely, absolutely key. But take your time and look and begin the research. That's what I always say. Just dip your toe in the pond, begin to research it, begin to implement it, and you'll become more comfortable. So will your patients. Patients become more comfortable every single day with these types of models and these types of engagement. So embrace that.
Yeah. You mentioned the idea of in 3 to 5 years, if you're not using AI, it may be seen as malpractice.
Hmm.
What would you say if in 3 years AI was able to run autonomously in low acuity and I'll just say medium acuity type encounters?
Sure. I think realistically, we're going to see that. I want to see those models before I totally check off on them. Again, you're talking 3 years down the road, and I'm not 100. I would like to see more frameworks. I want to see to make sure, like I said, that even that last example where that chatbot did not like what this person was publishing about AI and attacked them publicly, that's not good. And so I just want to make
Right.
sure, 'cause there's no acuity in that. That's just not good. So,
Yeah.
it's not good for somebody's reputation who's built it for 30 years, and then this stuff is published out there that's done by a chatbot who had an opinion. So we still have more to go. I'm sure there will be those cases. I probably wouldn't send the check off on it yet. I want to see more research and more framework and more governance, and more maturity. But I do believe we're going to see that. So.
Yeah. So we have about 2 minutes left, maybe a
Mhm.
minute and a half. Close this out. Where do you see, from your vantage point, where we're going to go, where we're going with AI, and how it's going to influence and maybe transform the whole delivery of care market?
Yeah, and I always like to be optimistic, and I'm extremely optimistic and bullish about what AI is going to deliver on allowing better patient care, certainly better outcomes for patients, a better quality of life for patients, better reimbursement for certain providers who take it seriously and engage these models and learn and then optimize them. But we're going to have winners and losers, unfortunately. So the negative side is if you say, "Oh, I'm going to retire first," or "I don't want to do it," or "I see other," if you're looking at all the problems with it, you will absolutely fail. You will not be paid for your time adequately in your mind in 3 to 5 years from now. If you do take this seriously, if you are engaging it, you're going to these lectures, you're going to these talks, you're embracing it to your speed, maybe pushing yourself a little bit, pushing your teams a little bit. There's best practices that I've published. Find that one care provider or care manager who's respected, probably more of the PA, nurse, or even doctor in a certain organization, depending upon the size of the organization. and have them champion it, have them learn it, have them champion it, make sure they're a well-respected person within the organization so they can start to corral people and nudge people in this direction. But you've got to engage it. It's going to be key to everybody. Patients are going to demand it. Right now, I'll close you with this, which I'm excited about. Their AI is now, patients are using AI, ChatGPT, and other and other research models to research doctors, and they are not just going by what the AI is not going by what health grades or something says. They're going by actually customer reviews and real reviews of patients in the community. So it's an unbiased research of the patient, not what's just published by some organization that you can go buy, a grade for. And I'm not saying that about health grades. I'm saying in general, people can buy these great surveys and great things. Chat is helping patients cut through that and really give you an opinion about a certain provider in a community, and that makes a big difference. So
yeah, Justin, it is always very informative speaking with you. I really do appreciate you joining the program. I truly appreciate your insights. Fascinating stuff. I appreciate it.
Always good, my friend. A good friend. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Take care. Thanks for listening. If you missed any part of today's episode, you can tune in at the same time, 11 a.m. or 7 p.m. Eastern throughout the week. Be sure to check out the program page on healthcarenowradio.com, and remember to connect or follow me on LinkedIn, X, formerly Twitter, @FoleyTom, and follow the show's hashtag, The AI Shift. I'm Tom Foley. Until the next shift.